My name is Colin Gamroth. I'm from Childcare Web Design, and today I'll be talking a little bit about Childcare Marketing 101 and focus on what childcare providers, directors, and owners can do at their center or their in-home to help build a profitable, thriving childcare center and build trust in the community. So a little bit about, who am I? Why should you care what I say? My family owned a child's journey school. It's a Montessori school in Kirkland from 2016 to 2024. It was a kind of a family business. My mom was the director. My dad did more like the business operations. And me and my three brothers would help out in high school and college, kind of over the summer, giving teachers break, um, doing some remodeling of carpets and, a little bit of everything here and there. So I got kind of a hands-on experience of what it's like running a child care center and, um, everything that goes with that. You can actually see here, this picture is me. In fact, it may not look like it, but that's, you might be like, why is Santa Claus there? But that's me as Santa one year. That was one of the random things we would help out with. But yeah, and then since then, I started a web design and marketing agency, and we've kind of pivoted to focus entirely on childcare providers. It's kind of what we know best and able to provide the most value there. So at this point, we've partnered with 20 plus childcare providers, spoken with thousands of childcare owners and directors, and located here in Washington. So we've worked with through First Five and the CCI, worked with a couple providers in the Pierce County, like Little Patriots, Primetime, Cotsmore. So familiar with definitely the area and the childcare providers here. And our goal is to help providers build trust in the community, show what's best about their care, and ultimately increase enrollment to have a sustainable business. I'm curious in the chat. I see a couple people introduced, and I see there's a couple centers. Are you a in-home or a center? Or a couple of childcare providers. I'm curious. Are you an in-home or a center, just to get an idea of who we all have in here? And I'll jump into kind of what we'll cover today. Um, how to position yourself at, your center or your in-home as a trusted early education provider. How you're going to stand out and be different than everyone else. And then how to get found on Google using SEO, which if you're not familiar with it, we'll explain it. And then reviews and your website. Um, and then some simple proven systems to turn your leads into scheduled tours. And then finally, how all this can come together and increase your enrollment to help you get closer to your capacity. And yeah, Maria, definitely that's the goal here. We'll help out with your marketing, give you some things hopefully that you can kind of go and start today and implement to help you out with your enrollment. So the first thing that's important to think about before really even getting into your marketing is what's your identity. And a marketing term that will be used is unique selling point. So what's different about your care? And it starts with you as the director, the owner. What's your story? What's your qualifications, your passion, experience? And it's different for everyone. Like a lot of people, maybe you have previous experience as a teacher or working in early education, but maybe it's just being a parent or a grandparent or helping take care of other family members. Like that experience is really valuable, and parents want to know about it. And then your qualifications, do you have licensing and certifications, and then final one is passion, like what brought you into this field. And people want to know, yeah, what's your kind of why behind getting into early education. And so that's you. And then you also have the center. So as a center, what are your mission, values, philosophy, curriculum? And it's different for every center. And one thing I've realized is, each center is kind of unique in their own way of what they're looking to be. And families are the same way. They're looking for different things, and not all centers perfectly fit them. But if we can, identify what is your, niche and what you specialize in, then you can find those families that are a good fit for you. So that could be something like maybe you're a bilingual center, or you have a really good food plan, like you have a cook and you have homemade organic food. or it's your staff or your outdoor playground. Whatever that is, you want to make it clear what is unique about your center. It also goes into your teaching style. It's interesting talking to a lot of different providers that no one does it the same. Right? Some people believe in more like a play based and relaxed and kind of let the children explore and do what they want, while others more like structured and yeah, more like a structured like a classroom atmosphere. And one's not right or wrong, but there is families that want one or the other. So making it clear what you focus on, then families can find the right one. And I have here just focus on not babysitting, but more early education, child development, um, holistically, developing the child emotionally, physically, education, socially. That's really what families and parents are looking for. And you probably do that, but you just want to make sure it's clear that you're in your messaging that you express that. And for enrollment, kind of just want to go over like why enrollment's important, the impact it can have, and some of it's probably pretty obvious, but every enrollment it gives an opportunity to have more impact, right? It's another family that you can impact their lives and help that child's development in the family, and then also sustainability. So every you're going to increase your revenue that gives you more flexibility and freedom to grow your center. And kind of just looking at like the numbers of finances, if you had 10 open spots at $1,000 a month, right? That would be $10,000 a month that you could be, bringing in to give you that freedom to do what you want, to grow, to reinvest, pay your staff more, or remodel a classroom, or just stabilize and have that stability. And one thing that's unique about childcare providers is there's a lot of fixed costs. So you have, mortgage or your rent. Whether you have one child or 100 children, it's going to be the same price. So, same with like licensing and a lot of staffing. Like if you have a director, you're not going to get a second director if you add 10 more children or 5 more children. So it's a lot of fixed costs, meaning that those last 10 to 20 spots is really where the profit is at, and that gives you the freedom and sustainability of your center. Here we have a tool that we've actually developed to kind of give you a way to calculate some of this stuff, so you can see, your total license capacity was 80, and your current enrollment's 50, and your average price is $1,500 a month. Then that would be $540,000 of revenue that you could be bringing in, and that obviously you could do a lot with that. There's a QR code here where you can kind of scan that and maybe run the numbers on your own center, and I'll put the link in the chat as well, just for you get an idea of kind of what's possibly there. And even like this $1,000 a month, I'll say if in Tacoma, if you're $1,000 a month for childcare, you're probably on the lower end. There's an opportunity probably to bump your prices. Um, so when we talk about digital marketing, there's a lot of different pieces. Kind of the core of it is your website, but you have SEO, ads, content creation, Google Business Profile, social media. So these are just a couple of the different ways that you can digitally market yourself. But the important thing to think about is what's going to be the most effective use of your time and your money, right? You want to invest it in the places that is going to have the most return and give you what you're looking for. And what we found working with a lot of childcare providers um, is that SEO is really a great opportunity and investment for your time. And so SEO stands for search engine optimization. And that might not immediately make sense. The search engine part is the most popular search engine. You'll see here 94% of online searches go through Google. So when you hear search engine, essentially think Google. Obviously, there's Bing and Yahoo and some other ones, but really it's mainly Google. And then the optimization, you could better phrase it as like manipulation or influencing, right? Like we want to have, we want to manipulate and influence these search engines or Google to have you show up. So when someone searches for childcare Tacoma, you show up. And 74% of parents use Google or other search engines to find childcare. That, it's obviously a large portion, and that's why we found that search engine optimization is the most effective use of your time to try to show up and have parents find your care. And I will dive into a little bit of how you can do that. Before I do in kind of the things that you can actually implement, just a little background on what search engines look like. This right here on the right side is the search engine results page. And so this means, if someone's searching for childcare, childcare Tacoma, this is what shows up. And it's going to be different based on a variety of different factors. So if I search it on my end and you search it, it's going to be two different things. One of the big ones is the keywords, right? So if you search daycare Tacoma versus daycare near me, it's going to show up with different results. Or the device you use. So if you're on a phone versus a laptop, it's going to show different things. And then finally, location. And this makes a lot of sense because if someone's searching for any business, it could be like a teriyaki restaurant, right, in Tacoma, it's going to kind of show in that Tacoma area. But if someone's over in Puyallup and they search for teriyaki, it's going to be the restaurants near them. So it's the same idea here. Location is really important when it comes to these results page. And just to break down even a little bit more of what this actually looks like, at the top you'll have your search query. That's what someone's searching for, their location. And then the first thing you'll see is it'll be sponsored. That's the Google Ads, which receives about 10 to 15% of clicks. So it's kind of the minority of what actually shows up or what's actually clicked on. And then you have here, it's called the local map pack. You may not have heard of that term, but you've probably seen it before. It's these profiles with their reviews, their directions, and websites. So that gets 44% to 61% of total clicks. So that's a really key spot that you want to try to work to show up there in that local map pack. And then finally at the bottom you have the organic listings. So this is at the bottom. It's about 24 to 36% of total clicks, and these are the actual website links. So now you kind of have an idea of what, how you show up, and that a lot of the traffic is going to that local map pack. So the question is, right, like, how do you show up on Google? If that's, where you want to be and where parents are searching, how do you get there? And the three things that I'll talk about today that we've worked with a lot of childcare providers and had great results are the website, the Google Business Profile, and reviews. So to jump in with the Google Business Profile, that profile is what has those reviews and what shows up on that local map pack. So you'll see here on the right, this is actually prime time. This is their Google Business Profile. And it's a great quick way for parents to connect, right? They search, you show up, and they can call your number, they can get directions, they can go to your website. And the best thing about this Google Business Profile is it's completely free. So I'm curious, if for the existing providers, maybe you can put in the chat, like, do you have a Google Business Profile? Like Maria, I know you mentioned you're looking for kind of help with marketing. Is that something you currently have or are aware of? And if you are or you aren't, either way, how to help your Google Business Profile, right, and get it to show up there. There's a couple different things. The first one is to make sure you claim it, set it up, and verify. So if you don't already have the profile, you want to make sure you, if there's not one that exists, then you want to create a new profile for your center. You enter all your information, your name, and then if there already is one, then you want to make sure that you have access to it. So you can claim it, and then the final part, once you have access, is you get it verified. Google wants to make sure that there's not spam accounts. So you either get like a voice, they text you a code, or you submit a video to make sure you're a legitimate business. And then you want to go through and optimize the profile. And this is, the optimize and the manage are the two parts that maybe not everyone does, and it's a great opportunity for you to stand out and show up higher on those search results. And that's filling out all the information on the profile. So you see here, it's got like address, phone number, hours. There's also business descriptions, photos, Q&As. You want to fill out all the information on there, including that stuff that you talked about, with what's unique about your center. You want to put all that information. What's your curriculum, your mission, what's your programs and age groups. Put that on that Google Business profile, and then it'll help you show up. And when it comes to the website, right, like what matters for your website? Again, there's a lot of things you can do, but you want to focus on the things that are going to give you the greatest return. One of the big things is having informative content. So you want to have content that parents are looking for. What are your age groups? What's your curriculum? Where are you located? All this key information that when a parent's searching, they want to find out. Then you want to make sure it's mobile optimized because 60% of website traffic comes from phones. So um, you want to make sure when someone looks at your website on a phone, it looks good. It's easy to look good on a desktop, but as things shrink down, you want to make sure it's still readable, that the website loads quickly, and that will help you perform well and make it a better user experience. And then you want to have a well-structured site. So it's great to have content that's valuable, but if it's not organized in a good way, then parents are going to find the information they need. And then finally, you want to place keywords in what we call SEO hotspots. And I'll kind of dive into that in the well-structured site to explain a little bit more. So for the page structure, having built a lot of childcare websites, we've found that there's a couple core things that really every childcare website should have. And these pages are outlined here. As you see at the top, this is just the navigation, the different pages that are here. So the home page is a crucial one that you want to have your age groups, your programs, and you can have a little bit of information about the other pages and link to them. So maybe you have a section about us, and then you link to the about page, or a section about your programs and you link to it. You can put your testimonials on here, is great. Then you want to have an about page. This one actually tends to be, and it was kind of surprising at first. We thought maybe the home page and the contact page would be the most visited, but the about page is actually the one that parents spend the most time on. And looking back, kind of makes sense. They want to find out, what's the identity of the center. So this is where you can put information about you, maybe a picture of you, picture of staff, and your curriculum. Maybe not as much curriculum, but your values, your mission, that kind of information. And then the programs page, this is where you can put all your age groups. Do you have infant care, preschool, toddler, kindergarten, before and after school? And then for each age group, you want to put a little bit of information about what you're doing for those. What are the activities, so parents have an idea. And then the next one you want to have is a contact page. This one's really important because think of it from a perspective of a parent. They work probably a 9 to 5 and they're searching for care, after work or on the weekend when you're closed. So typically, people might call, but you're probably going to be after hours. You're not going to answer the phone. So they want a quick way, go to a contact page, submit a form with their name, their email, and any questions they have. And similarly, you want to have a scheduled tour page. This would be somewhere same idea, but they just want to schedule a tour. Like they're ready to get started. Rather than going back and forth over email, if you just have your availability online, you could use something like Calendly is a free way to do this, and they could just schedule a time. Some other pages, that have also been really valuable, careers page, right? You're trying to look for employees and hiring staff. And then subsidies, if that's something you offer, parents want to know about that. Forms, calendar, those are some of the good ones. How to enroll, like a step-by-step process. So I mentioned keywords, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. These are the words people use to find things online. So when they search for keywords, like daycare Tacoma could be a keyword, then you're trying to show up for those things that people search. Some of the top ones for childcare providers are daycare plus city or childcare plus city. Also, preschool is used a lot. And then any unique service is a good keyword you want to include on your website. So if someone's searching for bilingual childcare and that's something you offer, you might be unique in that offering, but parents just need to be able to find a way to see you. If you have bilingual childcare on your website, then people can search it and find you. Same with like Christian care is a big one that we often see you want to highlight. And then where you want to have that on the website is these SEO hotspots. The first one is the title tag, and you'll see here on the website when you go to searching, the title is that big text that says here, "Imagine a daycare Spanish immersion, Palo Alto, California." So this is a daycare we work with in Palo Alto, and you'll see their business name, what's their unique service, Spanish immersion, and then their location, Palo Alto, California. This is a key ranking keyword that's going to affect how you show up. Then the permalink, so this is the URL, imagine a daycare.net. You could have slash infant care Tacoma that's what the keyword you're trying to target. Then the H1 tag, this is the largest text on the page. So when you go to any website, the big text that you see at the top, you want to make sure that text is intentionally targeting the keywords you're trying to show up for. Some people will, target more keyword like words that like sound good, like, oh wow, this place is amazing. But it's not something I'm searching, right? If I'm a parent, I'm not going to search for wow, this place is amazing. I'm going to search for preschool in Tacoma or preschool Puyallup, and that's how I'll show up. And then the final one is the SEO meta description. It's not a ranking factor, but it is something that's really going to improve what's called click-through rate. So if I'm scrolling through, you'll see this description right here. This description about the business is going to make me a little bit more likely to click on the website and go there and find out more. So it's another key one to focus on. The next thing I want to talk about is reviews. I think everyone kind of knows a little bit of the value of reviews and probably has had either good or bad experiences in the past, but I just want to get into a little bit of why they're important and what you can do, and then finally how you can respond to them. So their importance is really two things. One is trust. It's a great social proof, right? Even the other day I was buying like some foot, I don't even know what they're called, like things you put on top of your shoes so you can walk on a dirty or keep your shoes clean, whatever they're called. But I was going on Amazon, and one place, one item had 1,000 reviews, 4.8 stars, and the other one had like 50 reviews, 4.2 stars. It's a no-brainer. I'm gonna pick the one, right, that has 1,000 reviews and 4.8 stars. So that's the same thing here. When parents are searching, they use these as a social proof that hey, other people, um, trust this place and have great opinions about it. The next one is ranking. So reviews, actually, especially Google reviews, will help you show up and help you rank. Google, if you have a lot of reviews and a lot of high quality reviews, you're going to show up higher when someone's searching. Some of the top platforms, Google, Yelp, Facebook. We focus primarily on Google because it's the one that actually shows up, that has a higher ranking factor when someone's searching. And Yelp discourages people from, as a provider or business owner, you're not supposed to like request and send links to solicit reviews. While Google and Facebook, they promote you like, hey, go reach out to your customers and ask them for reviews. The next thing is, what matters when it comes to these reviews. So you know they're important, but like what factors are important? The first one is rating, and you might be surprised. I put here 4+ stars. It's important to get a high rating, but I don't put 5+ stars because there's been some studies that actually people trust like a 5.0 stars is less trustworthy than like a mid 4 stars. It kind of makes sense. You see 5.0, you're like, this is too perfect. Is it real? So if you get a bad review and goes down a little bit, don't be too discouraged. It actually technically might not hurt you, though you're still targeting to get 5-star reviews. And then the next one's quantity, kind of like that Amazon example, right? If you have 1,000 versus 100 or 100 versus 5, which one are you going to trust? You want to get quantity of reviews. And then recency. We've seen this with some owners or centers will be transfer ownership, and the previous owners really focused on reviews. So they got 100, 4.8 stars. And the new owner's like, oh, our reviews are great. We're just going to kind of forget about them. Well, then a year goes by and they don't have, in the last year, they have one review, even though they have 100 reviews. And that's going to hurt their rankings because Google's going to see you don't have recent reviews and people, providing testimonials in the near past. And the same thing will be, from a parent's perspective, you might be like, oh, all these reviews were from the past. I don't know how true these great things are today. And then the final thing is content. It's great to have, rather than 10 reviews, they're all just, 5 stars, no content. If you can have parents talking about their experience and the staff and what makes you so great, that's obviously going to go influence more. So how to get more, right? Reviews are important. How to actually get them. I'll start with the goal is at least 10. So we've seen a big bump if someone doesn't have 10 reviews, getting 10 Google reviews, and then as ideally as many as others in the area. So 20, 30 plus, see what everyone else has and target that. And then how to get them, it's great to be creative. You can even do a challenge with your staff. Like, hey, if we can get 20 reviews this month, we'll do a free catered lunch or something. So make sure the staff and it's something a part of the business operations, not just one person focused on it. But some of the actual things that you can implement. One is a simple print a piece of paper with a QR code. So through your Google Business Profile, you can get a free QR code, print that on a piece of paper, just post it at your desk or your front door, your reception area, and you'll get some reviews through that, especially if you're also asking parents to review while they're walking through. You can also purchase a review stand. This is like $15 off Amazon, one that I found here. And then the next step is to actually manually text, email, or use Brightwheel or Tadpole, some software, ProCare. Reach out to parents. Just say, hey, we love having you and your family. It would mean the world. It'd be a big favor if you could leave us a review. And then the final one is what we do with the providers we work with is an automation, right? So send it to all your parents, over a couple weeks, over a couple months, and then if they don't leave a review, follow up with them a week later. So this can also be done manually as well. You reach out once, but typically we found that second time you reach out, they're like, "Oh yeah, like so sorry, I forgot. I'll leave a review." So that's how you get reviews. Once you get reviews, you'll probably run into the opportunity or issue of responding to reviews. And there's kind of three types of reviews, and we'll go over how to respond to all of them. The first one's positive reviews. These ones are pretty easy. The only thing is you do want to actually respond. Some people just ignore them, but it shows gratitude for whoever took the time, left the review. You want them to know they're appreciated, and other families are going to see that when they're looking for childcare. They're going to see, oh, this is an active business owner. Then for negative reviews, these are the tough ones, right? Everyone hates getting a one-star review, and it's kind of emotional. It can be really easy to just quickly respond and get into a verbal war, and it's not going to look good if you do that. So you want to kind of step back, maybe sit on it for a sec, stay calm, respond professionally, acknowledge their concern, right? Especially if it's something real, and apologize sincerely. Maybe say this is where you could connect with us. Give them your email or phone number. You can connect. And then the final one is a false review. So someone maybe makes something up or it's not an actual parent. What you want to do is report it immediately. So you report it, and Google has a bunch of different reasons that you can report reviews for. And then hopefully they'll take it down. You can wait a couple days, have family and friends report it as well. And it's pretty effective, but it's not a guarantee. If it doesn't go down within about a week or two, then you just go ahead and kind of go back to the negative review, respond to it professionally, making sure that there is a response there so you can kind of get the last word in. It's nice Google, there's no like back and forth, so you get the opportunity to take your time and formulate that last response. Some other things I want to touch on quickly, and I don't want to go too long, but social media. So that the website SEO reviews, that's going to be where you should really spend the bulk of your time. But social media is another great opportunity. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X. Those are kind of Facebook's and Instagram are really the main two, and especially Facebook. But the key things there are just being consistent. Post what parents care about, right? They want to know what are the children doing, what are the activities, graduation ceremonies, things like that, and then showing off what makes you unique. It's a great opportunity with social media, not as much for getting new clients, but also for retaining existing clients. Right? Parents, maybe you send them communication other ways, email and stuff, but they might not see that as much. Social media is a great way to be top of mind of like, hey, here's all the fun stuff and great stuff going on. And then you have traditional marketing. This is another good opportunity. Flyers, and we actually, when the Center of Child's Journey, we would send out like 5,000 flyers within a 5-mile radius twice a year during peak enrollment times. Sending out flyers, and I think Stella linked a good resource, so I'll have to take a look at that later too. But if you want to have flyers and posters available, that's probably a great idea to use that. Signage, in the front of your building, on the nearby streets, community events, word of mouth obviously is always going to be really impactful. And then, so now you've gotten people interested. What you want to make sure you do is you get this lead, you want to turn it into an actual tour, because that's really where you get the opportunity to have the enrollment. And it starts with answering the phone. So making sure during your hours you have someone that can actually answer the phone. If you don't answer, they might call someone else, not think you're responsive, and therefore enroll somewhere else. And you don't really get that opportunity. Allowing scheduling online so they can have a tour booked over the weekend without going back and forth. We've seen some people previously to working with us, it's like 10 emails back and forth about this time or that time, when, if you have a way to schedule online, then they can just book right away. Focus on getting parents in the door. So if you're calling or talking to someone, they want to ask a lot of questions, you can answer them, but also be like, hey, come in and we'll answer everything. We'll give you the pricing. We'll um, tell you all about it. Then they can really see and experience the center. And then following up prior to the tour. So setting some reminders beforehand. Hey, your tour is tomorrow this time. Try to reduce no-shows. For the actual tour, there's a couple things I want to highlight that'll be um, helpful to give you the best experience for those parents. One is picking the right time, and this is for the parents, but also for the staff. You want to make sure that your staff knows when the tours are going to be. We had this problem at our center that at first we got started. We're looking to really accommodate parents as much as possible. We needed enrollment, so we were just like, all right, we'll do tours anytime you want. But then teachers, they're getting parents walking into their classrooms at random times, and you want to be on your best behavior, and making sure the room looks clean and all that. And if you don't know when, it's kind of you're on edge and you get surprised. So communicate with teachers and what time makes the most sense. Also for parents, can you show them circle time or time when the children are active versus they come during nap time and nothing's going on. You want to make it an educational tour. So, provide them information that they may not know much about childcare or what goes on. Don't assume that they have this background and know what all that you do. Show what you do best. And then having a dedicated tour host is really impactful too, rather than, everyone doing it and no one really getting good at it. You want to have someone who can kind of get in a rhythm. Also making sure it's a person who's passionate about your center. If it's an employee who's not really happy, they're not going to give a great tour. But if someone who is passionate and can be, a good voice for you, then you want them to be your host. And then having a clear next step. So at the end of it, giving them a packet or something that they can use to know how to enroll, and maybe applying a little bit of urgency or scarcity if it's true. Like if you have limited spots, let them know so they'll get back to you. And yeah, so that start today with something. Here's a couple different ways you can do this. One, claiming and filling out your Google Business profile, asking parents for reviews. Choose one, whatever works the best for you. Find a way to get reviews from parents, and then finally updating your website, making sure that you have that good content and targeting different keywords like daycare and childcare and whatever city that you're located. And then if you need some help, if you're looking to get a little bit more one-on-one help, anyone here is welcome to book a free one-on-one strategy call with myself, and we can kind of, walk through whatever you're going through. If you're just struggling to get something set up technically, we can definitely help with that. And, getting your Google Business profile up and verified. We've worked with a lot of providers who have a lot of difficulty with that, so we're happy to help getting your reviews and websites, helping out with that as well. So yeah, that is all. If anyone has any questions, I can help out now too.